Hugo Bros played against each other in the 1986 World Cup. Sitole was caught up there, and there's the opening goal for the Mexicans. Quiñones, big goal. Alvarado's cross in, and there's the goal he was looking for. It's Raul Jimenez, and it's 2-0. A World Cup goal at last.
FIFA president surveying the scene. Was a useful one! And it's another set-piece goal for Czechia! They're first in the World Cup for 2 decades!
They've got to make it more intricate how they did before to try and get in the game.
Oh, it's a good run, a really good run. Surely it's the equaliser. And it's there. Hwang In-bom levels matters for South Korea.
With this World Cup, we're going to see abundance of ability. Oh, what a lovely little ball that is.
Oh, they're in again. The substitute. South Korea have come from behind.
Live from New York, it's the show that's celebrating the start of the World Cup. Excellent start yesterday afternoon and last night. As you can see, we've got our World Cup set here with one change that I just noticed. Don't say it yet. Brew, did you notice any changes to the set? Because it seems like we did it yesterday.
I do know the change.
Can you explain what it is?
Did I say it?
You can say it, but you don't. Let me say it. He noticed it.
Okay.
You're going to think I'm lying. FIFA requested this be our trophy. That's hand to God. Hand to God. FIFA said you have access to this one. Put that one out there rather than the Fugazi one we had yesterday. So, as always, I'm doing...
Now, Infantino called
I didn't say
and
the
said, hey,
president...
can you put Knicks Lego World Cup trophy there?
KW, I didn't say the president of FIFA called, but I am telling you...
You said FIFA, the
I am
entity.
looking you in the eye and saying someone from FIFA called our show and made the request. The other trophy out, this trophy in. Cross my heart, hope to die.
Was it a request or a demand?
It was a demand.
It was honestly,
it was a demand because this is so great.
Has FIFA called in for all of your other Legos that are outside?
They haven't seen them yet. I'm so excited. Wait for Monday.
We start in Mexico City. Quiñones with an early goal off of an unwise clearance by the South African goalkeeper. Jimenez follows up with the second half with his first goal. Crowd was fired up to the benefit of the home team. Mexico wins 2-0 to start off the World Cup. On Fox, 9 p.m. tonight, do you expect the American home crowd to pay immediate dividends?
I absolutely do. This is historically the greatest home field advantage in all of sports is the host nation at the World Cup. We talked about it a lot in the lead up, but host nations win a disproportionate amount of the World Cups. The host nations who haven't won very often, because their countries have never won the World Cup, their greatest finish ever was the year that they got to host the World Cup. I do think some of that historically has been a little referee intimidation, which in the VAR, in the VAR world, I think it's a little bit less than it would be previously, but I think it still exists. And I do feel like the players can feed off the crowd's energy, and I do think Mexico, if you didn't watch that game as accurately predicted it to the exact score by this show yesterday, we called 2-0. That thing could have been 5-0 easy.
Yeah, it was.
And I understand South Africa is not very good, and Mexico played great. But part of that,
I don't know if they did play great.
Well, I mean, I thought Mexico played really well, but I think just if you saw in our highlight package that opening goal, I don't know that the goalkeeper was intimidated by the atmosphere, but he and the defender messing up one of the most basic plays imaginable 10 minutes into their World Cup. I think the atmosphere plays a part. So in that regard, yes, I do expect the home field in this game against Paraguay and in the entirety of the group stage at the very least to play a real dividend.
Yeah, I'm expecting a big boost from it as well. And also just because overall the vibes around this team are phenomenal. The expectations are as high as ever, if not higher, right? And everything seems to be kind of falling into place so far for Team USA. Pulisic's kind of gotten out of his slump. Chris Richards is back. And we're facing a team, quite honestly, we should beat, even though they're pretty good. And I just think the vibes and the crowd, all of it's going to come together. It's a primetime game, for our guys, which obviously in the World Cup happens, but it's every 4 years. These guys got to be hyped. And so I think in addition to the home crowd, all of that is coming into the play for us.
Dissenting opinion, obviously I'm rooting for Team USA, but dissenting opinion for the sake of argument based on what you were talking about, the goalkeeping. And Al Harrington put this into my head when he was like, oh, the Garden crowd, New York is going to be rocking. And he was like, slow down. That could benefit the Spurs if it's that much intensity. And I think if it's going to show up, I think it could show up in net. Inexperienced, Matt Freese is the least experienced keeper we've had since 1990. He's got 15 starts. Tony Meola, friend of the show, had 18 in 1990. We've got one clean sheet, a.k.a. a shutout, in our last 13 games. So it's not like we've been pitching a bunch of perfect games to begin with. Maybe that's Chris Richards is back, and maybe Pochettino. We've got our full squad here. Maybe we're a little bit better, but we have allowed 11 goals in our past 4 matches.
No, that's a legit concern.
So if it does pop up, if the goalie's a little, and he's also looking over his shoulder, like, am I really the starter? That hasn't been established. Here's our goalie. This is what we're rocking with. So if it is a little bit nerves home court, I think that's where it could show up.
That's legit. And I think the one thing, not to pat ourselves on the back, I think we've done a good job getting our audience ready for the World Cup. The one storyline that I think we maybe neglected as far as shining a spotlight on it is the fact that the game's tonight and there's still questions about who our best goalkeeper is.
Yeah.
But no matter whether it's Freese or Turner, the United States goalkeeper in tonight's World Cup will be the first time ever that a starting goalkeeper for a World Cup team is coming from Major League Soccer. Every starting keeper for every World Cup match ever has come from an international league. And I understand Turner played internationally before, but he currently is in the MLS. Matt Freese in the MLS. That is a big question mark surrounding this team and whether or not they're going to need to, really rely on Pulisic and Balogun to, put up a bunch of goals or are they going to be able to win 1-0 games?
I don't know. Yeah. All right. Game tonight, of course, in LA, 9 p.m. on Fox. The good news, as we talked about, if you're hosting an opening match in the World Cup, you usually win. World Cup nations hosting opening matches. This includes Mexico's win yesterday. 17 wins, 6 draws, which I think is interesting. Only 1 loss, 53 goals,
and the
only
1 loss
16.
was a team that wasn't ready to be there.
That's nice. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean,
they weren't good.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have qualified.
No, they wouldn't have qualified exactly.
Yeah. Is this a must-win for Team USA?
Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. It is not a must get a result, not a must get a draw. It's a must win if you're going to have any faith that this team is going to be able to not only make the knockout round, not only win a game in the knockout round, but in that round of 16, make just their win and make the final 8, the quarterfinals for the second time in the history of the country of the team. This is the worst team they're going to play in the tournament. At least according to FIFA World Rankings. Theoretically, it's possible in the knockout round they could get lucky and a worse team could advance. But if that happens, that team is probably playing pretty well. I do think Bruce Wright. They all of a sudden feel like even though they're coming off a loss, they have some momentum. That would evaporate instantly. There is a clear path for the United States to be able to go into its final group stage game against the other best team in the group, Turkey, and have a margin of error, if not having already locked up advancing, and really just to be able to tweak there. Every single one of those paths involves them getting 3 points tonight and winning tonight. So I say yes, unequivocally, it's a must-win.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to your point, Paraguay's ranked 41st.
Yes.
We're 17th. We lose this, like I said, all the vibes, the good vibes surrounding the team. I feel like, we know Pochettino's been hard on these guys. It's been a transition. I kind of feel like now they're all in lockstep. Like, I feel like they're even taking on a bit of his personality. They got a lot of fight. Everything feels great, the excitement. And if we come out and lose to a team we're supposed to be, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because I agree with you. Like you talked about the goalkeeping. Our defense in general is our question mark.
Yep.
And Richards being back certainly helps. But is he fully back? He hasn't played yet in about a month. And so is the ankle fully healthy enough for him to really bolster that defense? So if we come out and lose tonight with all the expectations about this team, supposed to be our most talented team.
Experienced, almost everyone on the team played in the last World Cup.
And they've played together a lot. Just a lot of them go way back with each other. To lose this would really put a damper on the team from the get-go.
We do must win a lot, and although there is ties in football, you rarely see them.
Yeah.
So officially we are unbeaten in our last 3 openers. It's a pretty glass half full way of looking at it. We tied Wales in 2022.
As a big favorite.
Yes, we missed in 2018. We Ghana in 2014, we won 2-1. And then we tied England in 2010, which was a win, basically.
Yes.
If we draw here,
it's not good.
It would feel like a loss.
It would feel like, to me, like the Wales.
Like Wales. But it wouldn't feel like England. We wouldn't be celebrating.
Which set the table for an performance at the World Cup, which is what. So I do want to just very quickly, before we move on, set for the audience what it should or will take to advance. So again, there's a very basic stuff here for a moment. Going to play 3 group stage games. If you win, you get 3 points. If you draw, you get 1 point. Okay, so the most points you can get is 9. Under the new format, if you get 5 or more points, you are absolutely golden to advance. So the way you get 5 points is a win and 2 draws. The way you get 6 points is 2 wins. People can do the math. If you get 4 points, exactly, the mathematicians say you're about 99% to advance. So if you win tonight, then to advance, all you really need is at least just 1 more draw.
Yep.
It gets hairy at 3 points, which would be either 3 draws or 1 win and 2 losses. But the last piece of it that matters is if you advance, if you win Group D, which is our group, then in the first knockout round game, you're going to be playing a 3rd place finisher from a different group. If you come in second in Group D, you're going to be playing a 2nd place finisher from the group Belgium's in. That could be them. That all of a sudden you'd be an underdog in your first knockout round game. So winning the group, getting a result here, critically important if the U.S. is going to have a good next 5 weeks.
Okay, kickoff 9 p.m. on Fox. We're going to head to San Antonio now, where the Knicks are 48 minutes from the championship. But hold on, if we're talking about minutes, Brew, the Spurs are actually winning. Spurs have led 133 minutes of this series. It's the most by any playoff team, right, Josh? Any playoff team down 3-1. Oh, hold on, Josh, or any finals team. Oh, 3rd most of any round. It's the most for the finals. Thank you, Josh. I knew I had screwed that up. I went with it anyways. Yeah. And then, Brew, here's just the numbers here. This series, the Knicks are winning by 2 points, but paint points, Knicks are winning by 2 points. A little bit on the rebounds. Assists are dead even. Field goal percentage just barely to the Knicks. So for a 3-1 hole, it's not that deep. Should the Spurs still be confident?
Absolutely. Why in the world wouldn't they? I mean, I'm dead serious. Why wouldn't you be confident? They have lost, but it is true. This isn't analytics. We judge the game by who's winning by points.
Yes.
And they have led most of the series. 2/3 of the series they have led. They gave away game 4. There's no question about it. The Knicks, credit to the Knicks because they played well, but they didn't take that. You even said yesterday it was more of a collapse than a comeback.
Yes, absolutely.
So without Castle is absolutely right, or I guess Mitch Johnson told the team, they have dictated the outcomes of these games. They've led every game by double figures. They've led every game in the last 2 minutes. And they were absolutely beating the stuffing out of the Knicks in game 4 in the Garden and beat up on them most of the games 3 and 4 in the Garden.
All true.
So, again, and I'm not making light of them being down 3-1, and it looks like they're on the path to lose this series. But there's a difference in the team is just beating us and us making these youthful, inexperienced mistakes that are costing us games. I would much rather, you hate to beat yourself.
Well,
when you look back, you hate to beat yourself. But I would much rather be in a position in anything where I know I can beat you, but I keep messing up myself. Like I'm the one making myself lose
that makes
versus
sense.
you making me lose. You're just better.
Well,
That's different.
I think I understand what you're saying. You'd rather be in that position while you're in
Like
it.
at least I feel like I can compete with the guy.
I also think that if they end up losing, you'd have wished it was the other way around. That if you're going to lose the finals, I think your off season is less painful if it's like
Yeah, no,
they
I
were
agree
just
with
better
you.
than
I
us,
agree with that.
rather than being like
sure.
we
gave it to
I
you.
agree with
You
you.
know, and so,
I
but
agree.
in the moment, you
though,
feel like
yeah.
you're still in the fight.
Right.
With that said, I will file this again in the category of fine to think, fine to believe, fine to say internally. I do not think it is appropriate or helpful for their to on the heels of the biggest collapse in the history of the NBA playoffs to be like, essentially, yeah, we're better than them, which is what he said.
They haven't said that.
Well, Steph Castle said
he-
we expect to win 3 in a row, and then after they blew a 29-point lead, Steph Castle said we dictated the winner and the loser.
Did they not?
At some point, when in the history of the NBA Finals, you are responsible for the first and 6th biggest second-half blown leads. Some of that is the Knicks taking it from you, the Knicks being better at closing. I mean, this is the history of the finals. The Spurs are on there twice from the last week.
No, but again, why are they on
sense.
there?
What?
Because of their own mistakes.
To a degree, it is.
I mean, Wemby threw the ball into a guy's back. That's them. That is not the Knicks.
I don't think that's actually one of the games on here.
Right.
That was
But
game
that's
2.
another. I mean,
So I just
they should be up 3-1. They should be up 3-1. Or at the very least, it should be 2-2.
I know, but Brew, don't you think that's part? Like if
that's part of
if
their
we
youth
were
and
running a
energy.
race,
I don't agree
I
they
get
should
that.
be up 3-1. I don't because
It should, at the very least, I
Well,
get
they
it because
certainly
game
should
2
have
we
won.
don't know.
They
certainly should have won game 4.
They obviously
Certainly
should have won
tied.
game 4.
Right. It should be at least tied.
They certainly should have won game
And
4. There
could
is no
be up
doubt
3-1.
they could be, and I don't
This
deny
is
that.
do you equate what they're saying to Kenny Atkinson?
Well,
I think that's totally different.
You're gonna get.
very similar.
You're
though,
gonna
Brew.
get. I think
it?
what you said was closer to Kenny Atkinson when
What?
you said we dictate, winning by who's leading. It's like no, like we dictate who's winning by who won, and like
But I hear you.
leading for big
who's
portions of the game.
leading in points?
Yes.
We dictate winning by points.
Yes.
We don't dictate it by expected shots made and junk like that
No.
that Atkinson was talking about.
No, but this is
so
just
much.
but there is nothing.
Like they have led by
they
points.
have led, and sadly, that's worth nothing.
I love
It's
this.
what?
I don't think it's worth nothing. It's
I hate to say it.
Who's he here? Brewer?
Brew.
Okay.
If I was in a race against someone I'm faster than, We raced 4 times. And one time, I forgot my track cleats. And one time, I didn't hear the gun go off. And one time, I just fell down.
Yeah.
And this person is up on me 3 races to 1. I think I can confidently say, look.
But that is.
I can win.
Totally agree.
I just keep on making the dumbest mistakes. I didn't bring.
If I bring my A game,
I didn't bring my shoes.
Yeah, but so that's where that's the part I reject, and that to me, this all dates back to I truly believe there has not been a single moment the Spurs have properly estimated the Knicks.
That's true.
I think it's why they celebrated the way they did after the conference finals. I think it's why we're hearing these things. Because the Spurs didn't forget their cleats. The Spurs were winning a race and then got caught at the line. Were winning a race, then got caught at the line, and then won a race.
They forgot their cleats in game 2. Or they just threw the cleats away. They just stopped running.
They started looking around.
Right.
Waving to their parents.
But at some point, I guess the point that I am trying to make is this. You went into, torture the analogy more, you went into this race thinking, or series of races, I am much faster than the other team.
Yes.
Than the other guy. I think even Brew would acknowledge that is not the case.
No, not much.
These two teams are close.
Yes, I agree.
And if we're close, and at the end of games, one team always executes, and the other team never executes, that's a skill issue. Or experience.
I wouldn't say skill, it's experience.
Right, but
it comes down to decision making.
Decision making, but that's my point. The decision making.
But I always feel like it's my decision. You know what? I can make the right decision next time.
The problem is I don't think they can. I think the Knicks, with that experience.
The Knicks are definitely a better team.
Every time these games are kind of like we get further away from their game, a new layer of experienced decision-making pops up. The latest one is Cat telling the crowd to get closer. Bro? I'm like, this is so brilliant. And I looked it up, like Brunson 78 playoff games, Bridges 75, Cat 68, OG 70. Wemby 21, Castle 22, Champagne 22, Harper 22. Fox, who is the veteran, remember, he played for the Kings. He only has 27 playoff games. There's just so much. Like, we've been here more. We know all this stuff. We're not going to get frazzled.
And I just...
Sorry, I was on your team for a while.
No, but you're right. It is the youth and the inexperience is shown.
But I guess that the point I'm trying to make is the reasons they are losing these games are part of what makes, to me, the Knicks clearly better. Is not that skill was the wrong word, Brew. It's not a skill gap.
Right.
But it is an ability to execute in the critical moments when these games are going to be close is not close between these two teams.
Just to keep going.
Yeah.
When Wemby said, it felt like Wemby was being almost flippant when he said, if we just play normal, we'll win the games. Do you agree with that?
No. I think that is underestimating the Knicks.
I do think I definitely coming into the series, they underestimated them. And I don't want them to be cocky and overconfident, which I do think they've been at times.
Right now, we're headed back to the NBA Game 5, Saturday night. San Antonio trying to dig out of a historic hole. Teams up 3-1 are 37-1 in finals history for New York. Who would a Knicks title mean the most for?
Well, look, obviously it'd benefit everybody, but there are a few individuals that really, I've stated before, I think it totally boosts their careers and legacies. Mike Brown, I think, becomes a Hall of Fame coach. Karl Anthony Towns, who I think probably already was going to be a Hall of Famer, but it totally changes his image. He's been viewed as a guy that's soft, at times silly, and this would totally change that, and I think it puts him in a Hall of Fame. But, and let me say OG Anunoby as well, that I think, Nick, for him, I see a boost in his career or his image or whatever you want to call it, similar to Aaron Gordon. Correct. Aaron Gordon has been a very good player his whole career. But when he helped Denver win that championship, he became not like an all-star guy, but you know what I mean? Like, man, Aaron Gordon is a very good player. Like, he's a necessity for them. He's a critical guy.
Yeah, some argued he was the second most important guy on the team. Everybody acknowledged he was the top 3. It also should be noted OG has a ring, but missed that whole playoff run. With the Raptors. With the Raptors. He got hurt right before the playoffs. So while he's a champion, he hasn't been a part of a championship as far as during the playoffs.
Yeah, so I think his stature raises in the league.
Yes.
And I think even more than Gordon. I think he'll be viewed as a better player than Aaron Gordon is. But I think it's clearly Jalen Brunson because of things we've talked about before. Is he the greatest Knick ever? Whether you think he is or not, he's now in the discussion. I've said he's going to be not only probably on Team USA in 28, but a captain. Like, he's a winner. He's won at the high school level, state championship, college level twice, now the pros, or if they win the pros. And, you know, we talked about the smallest player to lead a team to a championship. He joins Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry. I do have to shout out, I know this will upset you, Gus Williams. 1970. Nobody's saying Gus Williams. No. I know there is people are like, what in the world? 6'2", 1979, led the Seattle Supersonics to the championship. He was arguably the best player. He led the team in scoring, averaged 19 a game. Dennis Johnson was the finals MVP, and you could argue who was the better player, but Gus was the leading scorer, so I want to shout him out.
So listen, I do think that there was so much discussion weeks ago about what a championship would mean for Brunson. There's almost been not enough during the finals.
Probably.
Yeah. And so the greatest Knick ever thing is interesting. And so here are now, at this very moment, even if they don't win, these are the 4 greatest Knicks of all time.
Yes.
They all led the Knicks to the finals. And I just put up their accolades as a Knick. So here's what I think is interesting, KW. Reed and Frazier, what they had going for them is each other. They
played together.
They played. So I know that sounds obvious, but they made multiple finals together, and they had at varying moments of their career, different guy was the best player on their team. That was kind of the halcyon days of the Knicks. Ewing, finals appearances 1, even though he was on a team that went to 2, because in '99 he got hurt before the finals. But I think the MVP finish thing is interesting, as is the All-NBA numbers, because Brunson is approaching like as high as anyone other than Willis Reed got as far as their stature in the league. You understand what I mean, Brew? Like, Ewing was never a consensus top 5 player in the league. He was consistently in the mix, and I don't think ever was even considered top 3, and literally never had a top 3 MVP finish.
Maybe.
It's just the Georgetown #1 pick. Like, he came in.
His stature.
But again, in the right off the #1 pick in the '80s, like the '80s still had Prime, Magic, and Bird. Jordan coming up. Zeke, Barkley, Hakeem, David Robinson. I don't have to do a '90s history. My point is, where Jalen Brunson is considered amongst the best players in the league is right in line with where Patrick Ewing and Clyde Frazier were. One of the best players.
And certainly if they win the championship.
Right, and if they win the championship. So I do think, like, best Knick ever is not a prisoner of the moment, a really viable opinion. With all that said, that is not who the title would mean the most for. I just wanted to support Bruce's take. Even build a graphic for it. The people the title would mean the most for is the other 28 teams in the league.
Wow, what a take.
Because
good take.
It is a true blueprint of what do we do with these juggernauts of the West. Well, I don't know. Indiana built a team that could have won the title last year. Boston built a team that did win the title. And, you know what, again, the Eastern Conference, all that stuff. The Knicks built a team. None of those guys have a guy that we look at as pantheon superstar potential. Jason Tatum, a great player, first ballot Hall of Famer. Jaylen Brown probably going to be the same, but is not, going to be on it. Right, top 10, 15 all-time guy. Like not in the discussions of where Joker or we think Wemby could go or Giannis is in these, but those types of things. Halliburton, some people don't even think he's a top 10 player currently in the league when he's healthy. Brunson has been, can't win a title with him, all those, the question. It is, to me, real proof of concept of, man, maybe the super teams just don't exist in the modern NBA. And maybe you can build something for the moment that can win 4 rounds, even without having, so that's to me, because you can't follow the Spurs blueprint, literally or figuratively. Yep. Literally, not allowed to get 3 straight top 5 picks anymore. And figuratively, nobody can create another Wemby. Right. So if the Knicks do it, I think it just really is great for the overall health of 20 other fan bases that think they can win the title.
Can I have and front offices?
Yes.
It's team building.
Yeah.
One vote for Jalen Brunson, because we kick around Jalen Brunson would become a New York icon. And it's hard to what does that actually mean? It feels ephemeral. He doesn't have to pay for steak dinners anymore. I get it. My brother-in-law went to a game, 4. My brother went to, and he's wearing a Patrick Ewing jersey that I think he had to get a new one. I got my wife a Patrick Ewing jersey for Mother's Day? For Mother's Day, the kids got it for her. Because Ewing on your graphic was the icon of the 80s. In 40 years, I could see people who are growing up now in the Jalen Brunson era. You know what I want for Father's Day? A Jalen Brunson jersey like I used to have. That's the year in 2066. I will be 87 years old, and I'll walk past a guy maybe if I'm above ground in a Jalen Brunson jersey, because he has become this New York icon. Where you're oh yeah, in 2066, when there's robots, there's already a robot at the parade outside of the Garden. Yeah. It's just going to be Jalen Brunson is this all-time New York icon.
Yeah.
But there's going to be robots everywhere.
And if he falls faster.
There's no reason to think he won't have 4 more great individual seasons like this. So he will have played essentially a decade with the Knicks as a superstar, have at least 1 championship.
And you used the Ewing comp. We could use the Clyde Frazier comp, and in 53 years, so what would that be, 2079? Jalen's calling the games.
I'll be 98.
You'll be 98.
When we see those Jalen Brunson jerseys running around. Still kicking.
On the flip side, Wemby ended the game missing 10 of his last 12 shots, 3 of his last 4 free throws. Not good. If he has another fall off, what would a quiet finals exit mean for your guy, bro?
The main thing, 2 weeks ago, Wemby, everything was Wemby. Not even 2 weeks, whenever they beat OKC. Mm-hmm. It was all Wemby. It was already his league, which I think we all agree he is the face of the league. Face of the league. This would put a little damper on that. Because some people, I actually entered these finals thinking, and I think a lot of people did, when does the Wemby era team-wise start? Individually it started. Team-wise, is it starting this year because they win the championship, or is it start next year or whenever? And so I think that becomes into question. But individually, you want to win this thing if you're him. For the things we do when we look at legacies and all that, it'd be great if he won it this year for his legacy. It might be better for him if he loses it, because I can't say you can't say, we talked about it the other day. Would LeBron have done what he ended up doing had he won his first year in Miami? He's so great, I can't say no, but that's a significant part of his growth and development.
Sure.
Jordan losing all those times to Detroit, a significant part of his development. This will be, it'll be very painful, but I mean, if he's destined to be one of the all-time greats, and he will follow the path of Jordan, LeBron, all these other guys who had this immense pain early in their career or their first finals, whatever, and he went on to use it as motivation to improve. So that means this summer, he gets stronger.
Yes.
This summer, he develops a low post game and a commitment to playing in there. Yes, keep all your other stuff, the threes, the handle.
You're not going to lose your
but
skill.
have a commitment to playing in there. And it just helps him mature individually. He's still 22 years old. So I think it could help him. I don't think, as far as he'll join the crowd of all the superstars that had their issues in the finals.
So I obviously, one of my fundamental sports beliefs is you should never be penalized for playing poorly further in the playoffs than you would be if you played poorly earlier. Right. Meaning there should be no part of Wemby's story that it's like, you know what would have been better? Had they lost Game 7 to the Thunder and missed the finals. I think that's not, I know you.
Blowing the biggest halftime lead of all time is really a stress test on your theory, though.
But so I am not arguing these finals are, bad for him. Right. But you said something yesterday that I somewhat disagree with, which is that the finals will have done to him what they've done to all the young stars, or nearly all the young stars. The 5 greatest bigs ever all made the finals in year 2 or 3. Here is how they did. Kareem in year 2 averaged 27 and 19, and they won in a sweep.
Had Oscar.
He was finals MVP. Had Oscar. The Spurs have good players. They didn't have Oscar Robinson.
Oscar was a veteran.
No.
If they had an Oscar veteran,
I don't think
they're not making all these stupid mistakes.
Fox is Oscar? Also, and Kareem went to 4 years of college. I'm just saying, Wilt made the finals in year 3, averaged 34 and 27. They lost in 7 to Russell. Akeem made the finals in year 2, averaged 25 and 12 on 48%. They lost to the great Celtics team.
Yeah.
Shaq got swept in year 3 in the finals to Akeem. Averaged 28 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists on 60% shooting. They got swept. He was awesome. Yeah. Duncan.
But got outplayed.
As great as Duncan won finals MVP, averaging 27 and 14. The great bigs of all time all did what Wemby did, made the finals very early.
But they had a lot of different...
Of course, but they also individually all played up to or exceeded who they had been that year. Wemby, this would be the one similar to LeBron when he made it in 07, where he's way down across the board. But it's and 07's not held against LeBron. 2011 is, and that's fair. But it is unique. We had, like, that part of it. All those guys very early in their career made it and didn't. I think we can all say Wemby is, if he plays poorly and they lose in Game 5. This was his worst series of the playoffs. This was,
But he's actually, it's a bad season, but you'll look back, 28, 10, and 3 blocks.
Yeah, the numbers aren't good.
The efficiency won't be there. The efficiency's not there in the either team meltdown or the mistake. Right. But that is, when we talk about him, where it does matter is when we talk about where we think he could end up historically. Right. If he is competing.
Does matter?
No, I'm saying if he is competing with those 5 guys among Jordan and LeBron, but as far as best bigs ever, remember how I said when he made the finals that if they win the championship, he'll be ahead of GOAT pace.
Right.
I think these finals, this performance compared to this, puts him behind where those guys were.
I would disagree because those weren't their first playoff series. Shaq had been in all of them had been in the playoffs.
All of them had been in the playoffs.
And they had better, like Ralph Sampson and